Hello indie game fans, here are some 1.0 releases and games that shadow dropped out of nowhere, beginning with Time Wasters. Yes, another Vampire Survivor style Blood Heaven roguelite, but it comes to us from developer Proton Studios, who made Time Clickers and Time Warpers, interesting, active, idle games in their own right, so it's interesting to see them apply those mechanics to this genre. Some interesting additions here include proximity to planets having an effect, so you do need to consider your overall position with the expected screen-filling action that this genre is known for, and it's a good one of these.
Step into a world where chicken nuggets are currency and treasure hunters scour the land for ancient cheese.
Here's a major update that you might have missed since this throwback Japanese-inspired RPG, Pillars of Dust, just got an update to version 2.0 with plenty of improvements on the technical side such as widescreen support, 60 FPS and complete overhaul of the in-game art, although there is no new content. Still, if you love turn-based RPGs like me and have not played this, give it a shot since the dual protagonist of a prince and a pauper results in an interesting narrative. This video is brought to you by Legendary Creatures 2, a roguelite auto-battler set in a randomly generated open world that is the sequel to a game that has amassed 3,600 Steam reviews and a 90% positive rating on Steam. You and your party of creatures and heroes traverse the world in hopes of defeating the Demon King, with the tile-based exploration in the overworld and also the similar hexagonal grid on which combat takes place. As is auto-battler tradition, you have no direct control of your units once you hit go, but rather have to position them strategically beforehand, along with an elaborate upgrade system, different types of skills, a class and subclass systems, gems to slot into equipment and more, with the roguelite procedural generation of the world providing plenty of free playability, where it's available right now on Steam at a price of $5.99, but with a launch discount of 10% for the first week. As a fan of clean pens, honestly, I'm not watching the trailer for Demonologist as I write this voiceover, since it is just not my thing, but this is the latest co-op horror game to release out of early access, in the vein of games like Phantasmagoria, which I don't claim to understand, but it's very popular, so give it a go with your friends. An awesome looking dinosaur survival strategy game is DinoBlits that also released out of nowhere, which is not advised since I like developers to have some time to promote their launch, but here we are and here it is. You play as a dino chieftain, having to make decisions to keep your people happy, having to deal with enemies or expand into foreign lands, all in a bid to avoid extinction, and is an interesting one of these. I love reading the comments in my videos, since you folks always share interesting games and news that I have to look into, with Gordy and the Monster Moon being one such example, since this is a Halloween-themed action-adventure game from developer Twinbeard, best known for Frog Fractions. I'm guessing the developer is pretty financially secure, which allows him to make whatever he wants, since this throwback looking title was made on Pico 8, and while not the most visually appealing, has an art style that works as a throwback as well. supposedly it is linked to frog fractions in some way, so if curious, check it out for yourself. If you're this deep into a video on indie games, I'm betting that you love video games, so introducing Lock On Volume 6, the latest gaming journal/physical book all about video games that comes to us from the UK publisher Lost in Cult. Having physical video game stuff around the house is awesome, but if you're sick of figurines and CDs, how about a thoughtful book with this having 400 plus pages of awesome art, interviews, postmortems and more, with a giant 70-page feature on The Legend of Zelda and essays on Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Breath of the Wild, Tales of the Kingdom and more, with gorgeous hardcover art on Final Fantasy, as well as the upcoming The Invincible 4D softcover edition. And for indies specifically, we have art and features on Cocoon, Dordogne, Alien Hominid and more, so pick up a copy via my affiliate link below. A very pretty looking game is Escape from Mystwood Mansion, a first-person puzzler/escape room game in which you are, of course, attempting to get out. The puzzles in this are interesting and can be head-scratchers, with hidden passageways and secrets galore to uncover, looking like an excellent puzzle game, and thankfully is not a horror title. Proving grounds of the Mad Overlord is a full 3D remake of the first game in the Wizardry series, a legendary franchise that has been credited as being massively influential across the board, but especially for game developers, so to see Digital Eclipse leading development on this is interesting since they are known for remastering and preservation of games. I didn't play the original, so I cannot tell you what's new or different, but it looks similar to games like Legend of Grimrock and could spark a new wave of such games.
The ashes of the era of the Thousand Kingdoms are long cold. Oresa, the city of the gods, stood for centuries. But now that the divine rulers are gone, people come here to ask for help, offer services, or conclude other nefarious deals.
Another 1.0 release of interest is this awesome roguelite deck builder fighting game named Beneath Oresa, having an interesting two-character system, with one as the primary and the other as support, as our heroes venture deep within the city to battle enemies. This 1.0 update is significant, adding a new faction with 3 characters, a new final boss, elite enemy and more, so if you're curious but on the fence, give this game a go.
Ultimately, we are all drawn here to unravel what lies beneath.
My corner of indie game Twitter were raving about this game, so I had to give it a look, in which Islands of the Caliph is a throwback first-person dungeon crawler with an art style to match, and most interestingly, is based on Middle Eastern folklore and Islamic traditions. As such, it is very unique as compared to a sea of more European folklore-inspired titles, and despite more or less being shadow dropped, has been doing okay, but if you want an interesting world to explore, give this game a shot. Another unfortunate victim of Steam's release date system is Fairy Afterlight, since despite a relatively healthy follower and wishlist count, it didn't change the date, which means that it got lost in the mix as a surprise release, where this gorgeous minimalist Metroidvania deserves better. It has a dual protagonist setup in which our heroes are attempting to recover shards of light, with more puzzles and platforming challenges mixed in with the combat, and a world which is based on Indonesian folklore, which is interesting, so check out this hidden gem with more Metroidvanias in this video.